Call the Transportation Committee to order Tuesday, April 8th, 2014. Ms. Liz let me know that Mr. Joseph is absent. Mr. Clough will lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Everybody, please rise. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to serve the people of Ascension Parish. Lord, on this day with the recent weather, we ask that you take care of all the folks in Ascension Parish and the surrounding areas. We have some bad weather coming through. Let it pass without injury. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, man. Mr. President.
We've kind of moved up the road transfer program. Dr. Calabota's here.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman, move it up.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Lambert, second by Ms. Terry, to move the road transfer up. Any other discussion? If not, motion will pass.
Move that up to agenda.
We're going to move that up right underneath the number 4 after the chairman's report. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Under the committee report, I have on here a discussion of road striping. What I'd like to do, if we could possibly put together the connector roads, not dead-end streets, but throughout the parish, if we can come up, with a, give us a price and the footage, let's try to work on, our connector roads throughout. We'll see what we could do on the other side streets at a later date. But we have to do something pretty quick on this. Any comments for me?
No, something way overdue that we need to move forward. If it's going to protect our roads, we need to definitely come up with that program.
Yeah.
Save several years of life of a road. That's needed. Cost of them.
Okay, we just take that under consideration and have something for the next transportation meeting. We'll appreciate it. Jason, you have something?
You're just to make sure that you're wanting to know pricing, rough pricing on striping all of the basically collector and arterial roads that belong to us, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. Appreciate that. We'll move on now to number 7. We've moved up the DOT road transfer program. Jason?
Dr. Calavota is here to present on the road transfer program. We may have to do a little bit of switching here for the presentation.
No problem.
We had it, so give us a second. But Dr. Calavota? Make sure it's on.
Good afternoon, and
Afternoon.
it's a pleasure to be here. We'll get the presentation up on the screen hopefully in just a second here.
Liz, I think you can do that.
He's gonna bring it.
Yeah, he's going to come do it. Okay.
Vice President?
Let me just say that Bert Moore is go ahead and recognize Bert too. He works in our area as
He's a district traffic engineer.
traffic engineer and
Good guy
does
to
a
know.
wonderful job and cooperates with us quite often when we call upon him. And I've worked with Eric the 6 years I was with DOTD, and does a great job for him, and very progressive and works hard, and I enjoyed my time with him, and he's a good friend and knows what he's talking about. So Eric, we appreciate you coming.
All right, well, I'm not sure where the presentation is, but can you?
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
There.
Okay, great. All right. Let me back up then. Okay. I'm Eric Calavoda. I'm the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Transportation and Development, and it's a pleasure to be here to speak to you about our road transfer program. And so I've reduced my normal presentation just a little bit in the interest of time, and so let me just go ahead and jump right in. What our road transfer program is about, it provides an opportunity to reduce the size of DOTD, empower local governments, and rectify some inequities in the distribution of state highway mileage amongst parishes. And that really doesn't affect Ascension Parish, but just so for your own knowledge, we have one parish that has over 550 miles of state highway, and another parish that has just barely over 60. And they don't play the same role in the network. They're not the same geographic size, but 9-to-1 disparity seems a bit much to us, so we would like to rectify that to bring it a little more into balance than that. But so that's the opportunities that we have. The concept of right sizing involves transferring about 5,000 miles of state highway to local governments with the money. And I'll get into what that entails, but and I'll tell you why how we came up with the 5,000 miles. But we have a very large state highway system in Louisiana, one of the largest in the country, even though we're a relatively small state geographically and from a population standpoint. We also need to focus more on construction. We're being told, or have been told over decades, that we're too large, we need to shrink, and so we want to transform ourselves into more of a construction department and less of an operations and maintenance department. So we're looking for local partners who are willing to take on a little bit more operations and maintenance responsibility in exchange for us helping them with capital construction projects. And let me just, this next slide that you see on the screen is our staffing levels since the mid-1980s, and you can see it just continues to drop, and we have no reason to believe that that's going to change in the future. That trend will continue, and therefore we need to transform ourselves into more of a construction agency and less of an operations and maintenance agency. So here's some statistics on our highway system. It's one of, as I mentioned, one of the largest in the country. It's the 11th largest in the country, with 16,670 miles out of about 61,000 public road miles in Louisiana. So the state owns over 27% of the public road mileage. The national average is only 19%. So if we are successful over many decades in transferring mileage to local governments through the road transfer program, if we could succeed at all 5,000 miles, we would be right at the national average of 19%. Let me see here. So what is the state's role in the highway network? Well, we want to ensure that we're well connected with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And you say, well, we don't have any international borders here, but we do have deep draft ports that deal in international commerce. So we need to make sure that we're well connected with the rest of the country, well connected with the rest of the world, so we can engage in the economy, the global economy. We want to provide for the movement of people and goods and services between and through urban areas. That's a state role. And then in rural areas, we need to maintain that basic farm-to-market network. And this parish used to be very rural, now it's more suburban. But rural areas, they don't have a tax base sufficient to support a highway network, and so that's a basic state role. I often have to remind people when they complain that you spend too much money in the rural areas, you better remember where your food comes from, and your building materials. So. So what are some of the principles in our program is in identifying routes that are eligible for transfer. We don't believe the state should be maintaining neighborhood roads, either in urban areas or rural areas. The rural ones look a little different, but they function the same, so we shouldn't be in the neighborhood street business. And state mileage ought to be inversely proportional to population. And you say, well, why is that? And the reason is because as a rural area suburbanizes or urbanizes, what used to be a farm-to-market route becomes a suburban street, and therefore ought to be incorporated into the suburban and urban street networks. And then lastly, in urban areas, the routes that only deal with moving people around within the city, within the urban area, don't need to be on the state system, even if they have very high traffic volumes. If all it is involves moving people around within that urban area, then it doesn't need to be a state route. So here's just some numbers on transfer mileage. If we were successful in transferring all of the mileage we've identified, we would have a state highway system of about 12,000 miles. We do have maps, and I brought them with me for Ascension Parish, and I'll be happy to distribute those to you, that show all the routes that we've identified which we don't believe need to be on the state system. And when you first look at the map, and I'll show you the map on the screen, you see the red, and everybody thinks, well, that's what you want to transfer. No, that's actually what we want to keep, is the red. The green is what's eligible for transfer. So we have for you a map of the parish, and then there's a bunch of other maps on there. They're for frontage roads, and they won't show up on a parish map because they're immediately parallel to I-10 or Airline Highway, and so they don't show up. So we have separate maps on there for the frontage roads. Some of those you may not even realize are state-owned because they're so local in nature that you probably don't even know they're state highways, but they are. So those are the routes that in green that are eligible for transfer, as well as the frontage roads, which are shown in brown on the maps, the subsequent maps. So how does the program work? Well, number one, participation is completely voluntary. You can take one road, no roads, all roads. It's completely up to the local government to decide what their level of participation is, if they want to participate at all. We do repair roads prior to transfer. We don't want to transfer anything that's not in at least fair condition by our definition. In just about every case I've dealt with so far, we wind up in new condition, a very good condition, because the pavement is generally not in very good condition on a lot of these roadways, and so it's brought up to a good condition prior to the transfer. We also review the safety record on the roadway because we don't want to transfer any safety problems as well. So those two things are addressed. So you get a roadway that's in good condition. It shouldn't cause you any maintenance problems for years to come. And then we also credit the local government for what we would spend, DOTD would spend, for the next 40 years maintaining that roadway. And that includes both the routine maintenance, which is the mowing, the litter pickup, striping, pothole patching, et cetera, as well as the capital maintenance with chip seals and overlays and things like that would occur over that 40-year period. So we credit you for both of those, and you can apply that to whatever construction project you want to, highway or bridge, of course. Can't use it on sewers, can't use it on drainage, has to be a road project. And I've been asked about using it for other things, by the way, that's why I bring it up. But whatever capital project you want to do it, then we'll build that for you. So, and it can be on your, an existing parish road if you want. It doesn't have to be, you know, a state highway or anything like that. It can be, if you have, you know, you want to take care of your parish, deficient parish bridges, we can do that for you. If you have some parish roads that are in really bad shape, that you're having to put a lot of maintenance money into, we can rebuild those for you and bring them up to, you know, standard where you don't have to spend so much of your annual maintenance money trying to maintain those roadways. And I encourage people to do that because most every local government has roadways that I would refer to as money pits, where it's like having a car that's old and it's nickel and diming you to death, and you say, if I could just get a new car, if I could just get a better used car, I'd finally have some breathing room. Well, that's the same thing we can do through the road transfer program. We can give you some breathing room through some capital construction projects. So if you're interested in participating in this program, the district administrator is our primary contact in this area. That's Chad Vosberg. but myself and Bert are available as well to discuss anything with you might want to discuss. So what are the benefits to local governments for participation in the program? Well, what you get is immediate capital assistance with construction projects that you want to undertake with very little increase in your, immediately in your maintenance costs, because the roadways are in good shape when they're transferred. You don't have any maintenance costs to speak of for years to come. Eventually you will, and you have to be aware of that, but immediately you don't, but you get help with your construction projects right up front. So that's one of the benefits. A second benefit is you get to you're in the driver's seat as far as deciding what you want to build, so you have more control in that respect. And very importantly, and we get asked about this a lot, you have control then over the regulation of traffic on the roads that you take ownership of. And we get asked a lot about, well, you know, can you ban trucks on this route or not? And we don't do that on state highways, but local governments are free to do that if they choose to. You can limit it to local deliveries only, which is important. You can set your own speed limits and things like that, so without interference from the state or having to go through the state to get that done. And lastly, if you have a comprehensive plan that you're trying to implement, you don't have to, again, keep coming to the state to do it, and you move us out of the way and be able to do that with less interference. So those are the benefits, and the benefits to us, that allows DOTD really to focus on the things that we think we ought to be focused on, which are the things that really drive our state's economy, and that's the freight movement, the tourism, and the business travel, the longer distance travel. I refer to that as the long haul and the heavy haul. That's the business we're in. We don't want to be in the neighborhood street business and getting into the middle of, you know, the local squabbles and things like that. We prefer to stay out of that. So with that, let me just close with a couple of key points here. At least in my view, a lot of government seems to be, to me, to be devolving to the local level. You know, in Washington, they're in pure gridlock, and they're looking to devolve to the states. And it just seems that we're headed in the direction that local government's going to be king in the future. And each local government will have to, and the people in that area will have to decide what they want, what they're willing to pay for, and they'll chart their own destiny. So that's the way I see things moving. The road transfer program offers people an opportunity to get a jump start on that, to go ahead and move forward with their plans of what they want their community to be in the future, and to move in that direction. So here's some information about, you can go online, everything's online, there's a report online that explains the program. The maps are all online, you can look at those. Some of the frontage road maps are not, I noticed that today, but I'm going to have that corrected, so those will all be on there. But so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Terry. Go ahead, Mr. Kluwai.
Yes, Doc, thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
And on the credits, how are they given out? I might have missed it earlier. I may have missed it earlier on the credits. It's based on, you got a different value on different roads?
We have it all calculated. It's actually in this report.
Okay.
We've calculated out the value for all different types of roads that are on the road transfer program. The vast majority of the 5,000 miles is two-lane asphalt roads. We do have a few four-lane roads, a few concrete roads, things like that, but the vast majority of them is two-lane asphalt, and we've computed out the value, the 40-year value, based on its initial transfer condition. If it's in very good condition, it's, I believe, $423,000 per mile, assuming there's no bridges. You get extra credit for bridges, extra credit for traffic signals. And it goes, if it's only in good condition, it's not in very good condition, it's in good condition, you get slightly more, and if it's in fair condition, you get more than that. We don't transfer anything that's in less than fair condition. Mm-hmm. So we're going to fix it first, and it'll be fixed right, properly too. But what happens with that, we have an agreement. There's a resolution that gets passed by the council. We have a cooperative endeavor agreement, which is basically a contract between the local government and the state, which could be enforced in court if necessary. And it specifies what road segments you're going to take, what we're going to do to it before we transfer it over. We're going to mill off 2 inches, replace asphalt, whatever the case may be, to make sure it's in good condition. And then it specifies how much credit you're going to get. Say you take 5 miles, you get $2.5 million, something around, roughly number around that number, $2.5 million. And then it specifies what you want to do with the $2.5 million, what projects you want to build. We've been asked about, well, can we just bank the credit? And we're reluctant to do that because we don't want to be in the banking business. And I'm afraid that, 10 years from now, somebody comes back and they never done anything with their credits, and they say, well, I got these credits, and we would like to know what you want to do, what projects you want to build up front. We'll put them in the highway program, we'll start working on them, we'll get them done. And so we'd like to know what projects you want to build. And we can put them in priority order too and take it as far as the money goes.
And the parish can have input on the priority of it, of course.
It's completely your
That's right.
decision.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we don't interfere in
You're
that.
saying that you don't want to bank the credits down the road, somebody call in a paper on you 10 years later.
Right.
You don't know what your budget's going to be.
Yeah.
Or you federal aid at that time.
That's correct.
So you would be willing to, let's try to let those projects that we want based on the credits as soon as possible, and then you guys come do the work.
That's exactly right, yes.
Okay.
And by the way, thank you for mentioning the budget. Our program is set at $25 million per year statewide. So that pays for both the repairs of the roads before we transfer them and the credits. So
Could you repeat that number once more for all the public to know?
$25 million per year is the statewide budget that we have for the road transfer program, and that covers the repair of the roads that the local government's going to accept ownership of. So that comes out of the $25 million, plus the 40-year credits. Whatever projects you want to build, that comes out of the $25 million. So, that's what we're working on right now.
So 25 million, you're looking at, even if it's the best value somebody can get on a credit, you're looking at 50 miles.
The whole $25 million, yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So.
But, that's per year too.
Yeah.
And unless you got construction plans ready to go on some project to
Right.
build, I mean, we're not going to be able to go to construction
Sure.
for several years, so it's going to go through design and all that. So, we're going to be working on different projects from different areas as the time goes by, depending on when we can get the construction plans ready for them.
And within the program and the credits, you guys coming back and working, whether we choose it to be a parish road or whatever,
Right.
that, it don't have to be, we don't have to have it shovel ready.
Oh, no.
You will do the engineering?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The design and engineering?
Yeah, we have not had one yet that was shovel-ready, so.
Okay. Okay, while we're talking about that,
Yes, sir.
we've had joint ventures with other agencies, in parish government, that came in to help, whether it be federal or other state agencies. The oversight of that project and the design letting and then, construction letting, everything, that'll be completely in the control of the
Yeah,
the state.
we will handle that, that's correct.
All right.
Yes, sir.
It won't be coming through our department. our
No,
DPW
sir,
department.
it's, we're going to try to do as much of this as we can with federal funds, because where state funds are rather
Yeah.
limited at the time, for the
Federal
time
highway.
being. And so, and that's a complicated process, as you know, if you've had to deal with federal funds. We have expertise in doing that, not that your staff doesn't.
No,
I mean,
well, I
we do
understand.
it every day, so, yeah, our intent was that we would handle everything,
Yeah.
from the pre-construction all the way through the construction.
You work jointly with Federal Highway.
Yes, sir, we do,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Terry, you have anything? Todd?
One quick, after the 40 years, I know that's a long range, but, I'm looking at grandkids and children down the road. What's gonna happen after 40 years when we don't have any more credits coming in? And we have an additional 5,000 miles of state highways, which takes a lot of money to repair one, as you just finished saying.
Yes. Well,
And
the
if-
5,000 miles was statewide. The total mileage in Ascension Parish is about 130 miles.
Okay.
So, but that is something you have to account for. And it's, in discussions with various local governments around the state, I've been asked that question before, and I said, well, okay, let's forget about the road transfer program for a minute. What are you going to do anyway? Because a lot of people say, I don't have enough money to maintain what I have now. Okay, forget about the road transfer program. What's your plan? What's your plan for going forward? I just think that local governments are going to have to come to grips with that, or should I say people at the local level are going to have to come with grips with what do they want and what are they willing to pay for. And if they want good infrastructure and they're willing to pay for it, they can have it. If they want somebody else to pay for it, they need to get used to what they have now, because that's all they're ever going to have. So that's, but you're absolutely correct. You got to plan for long term, and I know from what I read in the paper, some comments that have gone on down here, you're wrestling with this issue now about taking in more neighborhood streets, and what are you going to do? How are you going to maintain them? Developers are building subdivisions. They want you to take over the public roads. You got to add that on. It adds to your maintenance burden. So it's not an easy issue to deal with.
But the roads we're taking in are smaller roads, and, you know, if we're taking in the state highways, we're talking 5, 10, 15-mile roads, which take a lot to resurface, you know, and reconstruct them, you know. We are looking at, they got something on the table now that we are looking at maybe to help us with the parish roads, but I'm still concerned about taking in that many states. I know we have the credits. I know that's good now, you know, but down the road, you know, it could be a burden on this parish, you know. I guess the big question is, I keep hearing, if we don't go into this program with y'all, what do y'all plan on doing with the state highways? I keep hearing y'all going to abandon state highways.
No, we have no plans to abandon any state highways. We are now pretty much in a maintenance mode right now. Hopefully
we can understand that.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to get more resources in the future, but if we do, what we're really going to be focused on is those key corridors, I-10, Airline Highway, those things. That's what we've got to do to drive the state's economy forward. And, you know, we're going to do the best we can maintaining the rest of the system, because it does belong to us, and we'll do what we can, but those are probably not going to be the priority routes. You know, back again, you don't have to participate 100% in the road transfer. You can pick and choose whatever route you want. I would urge you, perhaps, if you're concerned about that, to drive on some of those frontage roads and see if you think those are going to be a maintenance problem, particularly once we fix them. I would predict those are probably good to go for 30 years before you really have to do anything to them again.
And like I said before, we are looking, because roads is our top priority as
Yes, sir.
citizens of this parish, and that's where we're going to have to spend some of the funding and have to go out for a tax. Well, we may have to go out for a tax, but we are looking at maybe just parish roads and see what happens, you know, but every time you look up, you know, it's roads and sewers are two top priorities, and that's where we're going to have to, if we're going to put a tax on the ballot, that's what it's going to have to be, you know, one of them
Yes, sir.
two.
Yes, I understand.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's available to you if you're,
Yeah.
you know, it's voluntary. so-
Appreciate that.
Okay, very good. Anybody else?
Parish President, you had anything from staff?
I just want to thank Eric for coming and explaining it as a whole, and again, they kind of up against the same thing that we are. I'm sure that they're going to, as you heard him say, that they're going to make sure that the interstates and airline highway type roads are going to be in good shape, but the rest, as the money comes, they'll do it. If not, they'll just be not in that great a shape.
Well, that's, yeah, we'll do the best we can, again, with what we have. but-
Okay, appreciate it.
In closing on this, what I would really like to do is, now that we have a map, let's go ahead and take a couple connector roads out of this, and at least start looking at some type of transfer. You can start at the north end of the parish or the south, whatever you want, and let's start coming up with some type of, see if we can make it work with our connectors on our parish roads, and look at it every month or so. Mr. Cloy?
Yeah, I just want to clear up one thing, is that, you know, basically like what was said earlier, is that we have some state roads that however good they are now, that's as good as they're gonna be. They may be maintained, but they're not gonna develop into anything better. And if you see where all the improvements are being made, like the intersection improvements on 431, the 73 improvements to 42 improvements. It's keyed in on highway safety and traffic, moving traffic, and that's where the money's gonna be spent. I personally have a state road in my district that's a dead end. It connects to a couple parish roads, but it's a dead end road. I see that road being low, you know, with all respect to everybody, and, you know, everybody sets their priorities on the federal level, and then they set them on the state level, we set them on the local level. That road's gonna be, it's gonna be on a low priority as far as any kind of improvements, you know? And, he did clear up the fact that we can use the credits for whatever project we want, whether we want to improve, you know, take in Gold Place and improve Cannon Road, you know what I mean? Whatever we want to do. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. We'll move on to number 5, the Road Department monthly report. Mr. Pierce?
Good evening. Thank you. DPW monthly report for March, we had a total of 2.14 tons of recyclable materials were collected at the monthly road show held at Walmart in Prairieville. And so far this year, we had a total of 5.43 tons of recycled materials that have been collected at that Walmart road show. We also had a total of 9.57 tons of recycled materials at the DPW in March. And so far this year, we had a total of 43.11 tons of recyclable materials that have been collected at the DPW location. The work orders for the month of March, we had 189 total work orders, 6,813 feet of ditches were cleaned, 3,197 feet of culverts were blown out, 7 miles of ditches were cut, and, well, technically, you could say 14 miles because you got to cut both sides of the road. And we had 11 miles of ditches sprayed, and also, you can count that as 22 miles. In regards to the lot and the litter violations, the lot violations, we had 5 complaints were received and processed by DPW. 3 letters were issued, and 2 were found not to be in violation. In regards to the litter violations process, we had 10 litter violations. Complaints were received and processed in DPW in March. In 8 of the complaints, no violations were found. 2 complaints were turned over to the Justice of the Peace Court. The hearings on these complaints have not been scheduled yet. As of this date, 2 people have been fined for littering, and a bench warrant has been issued for the arrest of 1 individual who didn't show up for court. And presently, there are 4 people ready to be served with litter violations. Just a reminder, we have 507 miles of parish roads, approximately 29 on the west bank, 478 on the east bank. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Any questions, Mr. Pierce? We'll move on to number 6, road project status report. Jason?
Roddy Road widening, I mention this one every transportation committee, just to keep y'all reminded of it. It's part of the 2016 funding for STP greater than 200K. The Church Point at Roddy Roundabout, I got confirmation from our contractor today that everyone has been offered, and 3 have come back with counter offers, and 1 promised the counter offer later this week, and then we'll go from there. The 2013 road maintenance project, I sent you all the list last Transportation Committee. I was just curious if you had any comments on it, or if you do later, please let me know. Roddy Road at Cannon Roundabout. Can we get those maps up on the screen? Sorry. That's part of your packet. It'll be a little easier for y'all to see than us out here. There's been discussions in the last transportation committees where we weren't sure whether or not we were going to have to take a couple of the homes that were there to do the project, which would pretty much kill the project, I think, for us. The engineering firm came back and said that that they do not. I'll show you what they came up with in just a second. All right, so this was the least impact to the homes in the area. However, it continues to have a traditional three-leg intersection in it, which is not really a benefit to what we're trying to do. Liz, can you flip that one, please? Flip it forward one. This isn't working on it. Or scroll it down. There we go. That's a more traditional version of the roundabout. That does not take any home frontage, any homes, but it does take frontage from the homeowners. Of course, you have to. And one more, please. All right, and then there it is again, skewed a little more to that empty lot, taking less frontage from one of the homes. We have to let them know what we want, which one of those we want to go forward with, or if we want to go forward with it. I just wanted to let y'all know that it is moving forward, and we will be discussing that.
Right.
Y'all have any comments or anything on that, or are y'all good? Good, all right.
Any comments, Ty?
Yeah, one comment. Have we spoke to any of the homeowners on this?
I just found out about this Thursday, so
Because
no,
it
sir.
look like the majority is going just one way. I'm just curious whether or not that's taking quite a bit of that guy's property. If
No.
we go with the third plan, which is the more feasible, without buying homes out.
Talking about the three-legged one, Todd?
I'll talk to President Martinez about this later. I haven't even talked to him about this yet, so and see what he thinks.
I would say almost 80% of the property is gonna come from one property owner right there.
This is a safety fund project, by the way.
Mr. Kluwer?
Yeah, on the three-legged one, that's gonna work for Roddy Road for us? To free up Roddy Road?
Are you talking about the one where, that's why I said it's not really feasible, but they were trying to show that that's the way you would take right away from only one homeowner
Right.
and not impact any of the homes. I asked them to do that, and that's the best that they could come up with on that, yeah. Y'all are shaking your heads, I agree.
Yeah.
But they did the request that I asked them, because we try to help out the homeowners as much as possible.
Thank you, man.
Parker at 929 Roundabout, we did come in with an initial estimate on how much it's going to cost to armor the pipeline there. It was $300,000 added on to the cost of the project. We're getting that in writing confirmed 100% for sure. Our contractor is dotting every I and crossing the T's on that to make sure that what happens before doesn't happen again. We're still working on the engineering for the parish-wide horizontal curve sign upgrades from another safety grant that we got. Highway, that should be 6 million now, sorry. The Highway 42 sewer improvements, I was out there yesterday. They have begun to dig the lift stations for the sewer. They are pouring soon. Our inspectors are out there. We're trying to make sure everything is right while they're out there. They're moving along on that, by the way.
Good.
Highway 73 improvements, the sewer lines installed from Miller Road to I-10. Construction is continuing, and the estimated completion date is now October 14th. For the Lamar Dixon access improvements, I don't know if y'all have been out there. The asphalt's out there. Our inspections department did a testing on soil borings, and they all passed with plenty of room. And what's left is striping and general cleanup. That should happen this week. I talked to the contractor this week, actually a few hours ago, just to make sure, and he's still on schedule to do that. The St. Landry Edenbourne connector, the environmental study is at the Corps of Engineers. Their recommendation is for the route that was shown to y'all. They analyzed all 3 routes. This was the least impact to the environment. I will let you know, hopefully by the next meeting, it'll be through the Corps, but we'll see. The contractor was selected on April 3rd by the council, which of course y'all know that. And right-of-way negotiation is still continuing. For state projects, LA 30 mill and overlay is still awaiting environmental clearance and safety addendums. That was a request done in-house by the safety department at DOTD, and that's the reason why the let was pushed back. That was originally supposed to let near October last year. LA 431 intersection improvements, if y'all have been out there, they've done a lot of the base course work and are putting in asphalt, so they're on target for May. LA 42 widening, I just talked about that. They're clearing and grubbing, and they still have a December 2014 completion date for the clearing and grubbing. LA 73, just talked about that, 53% complete with 93% of the time given, and the anticipated completion date is October 2014. LA 431 in Gold Place is in design, and the Isaac emergency repair embankment repair is 40% complete.
Mr. President?
I checked on the Black Bayou and 44 intersection where you see all the cones and stuff and have to go around. They said that they're going to be letting that project from 4 to 6 months is what I was told. So should be toward the end of the summer or early fall.
That's great.
And that's both sides of Black Bayou, but the,
That's correct.
okay. Mr. Glua?
Yeah, real quick on the 431 intersection improvements. I know I've asked you before and you probably told me, so just remind me, does that include the intersection at 61 at Airline Highway?
I don't believe it does, no, sir.
Okay, that's actually on another project.
I think it does include it.
Does?
Yeah, I think there's a turn lane that's getting constructed in it. I believe. I'll have to check and follow up.
We'll get back with you on it.
Yeah, because I'm sure within your construction schedule, you're only going to hinder so many intersections at a time, and you're trying to rotate, and you got some pre-work. There's some pre-work going on at 61.
I know we're redoing the traffic signal at that location, and we're relocating it to put a turn lane in. I think it's all tied with the 431 project.
Thank you, Bert.
Great.
Project, Bert, is that about right before 6 months?
I'll have to check on that one too.
They're acquiring right away now.
I
If Bert wants to come to the microphone, he can, man. We'd like to recognize you anyway, you at all the meetings that we have on any road projects.
Burt Moore, DOTD. Believe I could check on the LA 44 project. I want to say that I thought the date was maybe this summer, but I'm not positive. And I do believe the 431 project includes the intersection of Airline and 431 and LA 30.
Yeah.
Because we are relocating the traffic signal poles to install a turn lane at that
Right.
location.
Real quick on the, while you're up there, on the 431 Gold Place turn lane.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have the design let on that? Do you?
I'll have to check on that one too. I think that one was primarily being driven by the parish through urban systems funds.
Right.
I'll have to check because the urban systems project are handled through headquarters.
Right.
But I can follow up on that as well.
Survey's done by the end of the week, preliminary plan in 2 weeks on that one. It's Meyer Engineers.
Okay.
On the Gold Place?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to see it when somebody gets it drawn up. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you,
Mr.
man.
No problem.
Bert, while we
Yes,
got
ma'am.
you, what's the latest on 73 between the interstate and 30?
73, the study's ongoing. I believe there's for what Ms. Terry is referring to is there's a corridor study that's ongoing between just south of 621 down to LA 30 on LA 73. That project is a corridor study is being performed by a consultant. I believe it's due to be finished sometime in the fall this year, maybe September, October timeframe.
And we'll be briefed on that when we,
Yes, ma'am. When we get results, I'll be glad to send you a copy of it and keep you appraised of it.
thank you so much.
No problem. Anything else?
Appreciate you.
Todd? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
No
for
problem.
coming, man. Thanks, Bert.
Jason, you had anything else
No, sir.
on that? Very good update, and appreciate the updates from the state. We'll move on to number 8, the approval of maintenance work on Allison Drive. Jason?
This is, we talked about this last Transportation Committee doing the snap tight repair in order to save us maintenance work in the future. Moose, did you want to talk any about this, or are you good? Oh, that's right. We inspected it and found that it is a good fit for the program and would like to go ahead with it.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilman Kluwat,
Second.
second by Ms. Terry. Any objection? If not, motion passed.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Move on to number 9, recommendations of roads to accept into the parish maintenance system. Mr. Petty.
So these 3 developments are ones that were on last month's Transportation Committee agenda. However, if you recall, last month, there was still outstanding punch list items on all 3 developments, and so we recommended to deny them at that time and to bring them back forward at this month's meeting. My inspection staff has been out from last month to this month and worked with the contractors on all 3 developments, and all punch list items have been satisfied, and so we're bringing all 3 developments to you tonight for acceptance into the system.
Thank you, Mike. Go ahead and name off the Mossy Oaks. We'll start with the Mossy Oaks and go ahead and name off in the footage, and we'll offer a motion to accept
Yes, sir.
or deny.
So in the Mossy Oaks subdivision, we have Candlewood Avenue at 182 feet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Lambert,
Second.
second by Ms. Casso. Discussion, if none, motion passed.
The next road is Sterling Ridge Drive at 270 feet.
Motion. Mr.
Moved by
Chairman.
Mr. Lambert, second by Ms. Casso. Further discussion, if not, motion passed.
Babin Estates Drive at 2,154 feet.
Moved by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion, if not, motion passed.
High Meadow Drive at 774 feet.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Kluwat. Discussion, if not, motion passed.
Biltmore Avenue at 788 feet.
Before we move on with this, this is one we had a problem with and everything was up to,
Yes, so, based on, let's see if I can find the, yeah, so there were surface cracks on this particular road at the previous meeting. My inspection staff has informed me that those surface cracks have been sealed.
great. Motion, please. By Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Lambert. Any other discussion? If not, motion passed.
Crown Ridge Drive at 1,452 feet.
Moved by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Cluott. Any other discussion? If not, motion passed.
Ellendale Drive at 735 feet.
Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Lambert, second by Mr. Cluott. Discussion? Not, motion passed.
Okay, so for Bullion Crossing subdivision first filing, Seals Drive, 1,532 feet.
Moved by Mr. Lambert,
Second.
second by Mr. Cluott. Discussion? If not, motion passed.
Marketplace Drive at 1,325 feet.
Moved by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Cluott. Discussion? Motion passed.
Warrior Drive at 405 feet.
Moved by
Motion.
Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Cluott. Any discussion? If not, motion passed.
Enterprise Avenue at 174 feet.
Moved by Mr. Lambert,
Second.
second by Mr. Cluott. No discussion, motion passed.
For Keystone of Galvez subdivision ninth filing, Yellowstone Drive, 150 feet.
Moved by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion? If not, motion passed.
Windstone Drive at 3,016 feet.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Cluott, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion? If not, motion passed.
Wishing Stone Drive at 1,065 feet.
Moved by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion? If not, motion passed. Number
That-
10, Mr. Lambert.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert to adjourn, second by
Second.
Ms. Terry.
Mr. Terry.
To adjourn.